extraordinary research at the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas, has uncovered what might be a useful new weight loss medication, and it's recently been tested on a group of obese chimpanzees.
The Keeling Center for Comparative Medicine and Research is a center within MD Anderson that's located about 120 miles west of Houston, and they have a large colony of non-human primates that they use for cancer drug development.
And how come you've got obese monkeys?
The obese monkeys, I've been famous now for calling them couch potatoes. They are obese entirely on their own. We do nothing to induce it. They're in the same housing, the same husbandry and nutritional conditions that the other primates are. They just choose not to exercise, and they love their food.
So they're naughty monkeys?
They're naughty monkeys. They're kind of like humans, aren't they? Particularly when the weather's hot and humid, they really don't like to exercise, but they continue to eat.
And how fat are they?
If we use the BMI scale, which is the body mass index, which we use to determine obesity in humans, they're all considered obese. The heaviest monkey would be considered morbidly obese by human standards with a BMI of 53.
And are they really waddling around and having trouble? Do they get diabetes and everything like humans do?
They can, absolutely. They can get type 2 diabetes. They can get pre-type 2 diabetes, which is just insulin resistance. And it really depends on how heavy they are. The largest monkey with the BMI of 53, we can't get him to exercise. Most monkeys love to jump up and down and hop on their perches and fly from side to side. This monkey is on the ground with his elbows on his knees waiting for the next treat to come to him. But some of the heavier ones, they can still go up and down and do some of the normal monkey activities. They just choose not to most of the time.
And what's the link from cancer research to something to treat obesity?
Obesity has recently been linked with many cancers, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, breast and colon cancer, as a risk factor. They don't know all the mechanisms yet, but they do know if you're obese, you're more likely to get cancers, and you're more likely to have poor response to the chemotherapy agents that you're given to treat your cancer.
And how does a medication to help obesity emerge out of a cancer lab?
Well, it's an excellent question, and basically what we did is we chose to treat fat essentially like a tumor. It's uncontrolled growth that nobody wants, and if we can use the same mechanisms we use to slow growth of cancer cells, starve cancer cells, prevent their growth, if we can do that in cancer, why can't we do that in fat? Again, a tissue nobody wants that tends to grow at rates we don't like.
Colleagues of Dr. Barnhart at the MD Anderson Cancer Center were working on anti-cancer drugs which work by attacking the blood vessels that supply the tumour. And they made a remarkable discovery. They found that the blood vessels were different depending on which part of the body they went to. And that meant the drugs had to be different too. So they found a medication that attacked the blood vessels that went to fat tissue.
This generated the immense excitement that, wow, guys, we have something that uniquely targets fat.
So they had a bullseye on fat blood vessels.
Fat blood vessels, correct.
So it's one thing having a bullseye, the other thing is having an arrow that's going to hit it.
We found the bullseye, you're exactly right. They developed then a peptide sequence that would home to the bullseye, a small chain of amino acids that knew exactly how to hone to the bullseye. And then they took it one step further. They took what we call a payload, something that destroys the cell that it's now been honed to. And they attached the payload to the arrow. The arrow took the payload to the bullseye
and blew up the blood vessels.
Blew up the blood vessel. So now what happens to the fat when you've blown up the blood vessels?
It's going to die.
It's going to die. It has no nourishment, it has no oxygen, and it's slowly going to lose its ability to sustain itself in such a large, overgrown fashion. And that's their drug.
And so they showed that it worked in mice.
Yes.
And
correct.
you tried it in your fat monkeys.
Yes. To date, we've never had an animal, a mouse, a rat, or a monkey, get the drug that hasn't lost a substantial amount of weight. Its efficacy seems to be universal.
And is it killing the fat cells or destroying the fat inside the cells?
That's an excellent question. How the fat subsequently breaks down and is absorbed by the body and eliminated, those mechanisms haven't been elucidated yet. What we do know is that there is no adverse effects associated with all this rapid breakdown and removal of fat.
And it's the fat everywhere, the dangerous fat inside the abdomen, fat on your arms, fat on your breasts, fat
Correct.
everywhere?
It's white fat. And the predominance of white fat for most people who are overweight is what we call visceral fat. That's the fat that's inside your abdomen, it's around your internal organs, it's around your liver. That is the most metabolically bad fat.
The trouble with fat cells is the body knows how many fat cells it's got, and if you remove some or kill them off, then the body regrows them or puts more fat into the cells themselves. What happened with your monkeys?
What we have done with our monkeys, we don't know if we've created less cells or if we've just shrunk the ones that were so enlarged. We have not done those studies. What I can say is that when the drug stops, within several weeks, the weight plateaus, and about 6 months after treatment, all the monkeys are up to their pre-treatment weight. So whatever we've done to it, whether we've shrunk the cells or decreased the number of fat cells, it all comes back after the drug is stopped.
So this is to work, you've got to use it in the long term.
The drug has to be given continuously to have a long-term effect. And currently we have only looked at the effect of a certain dose level given for 28 consecutive days. In non-human primates, given 28 consecutive days, we know that they're going to lose between 7.5% and 15% of their body weight. We also saw an average of 50% improvement in insulin resistance. And this is huge, and a reduction in a risk factor for people who are overweight and subsequently at risk for cardiovascular disease, thrombotic disease, and some pretty undesirable sequelae.
And was there any collateral damage? Did it affect blood vessels in any other parts of the body that you really don't want to destroy the blood vessels, like the heart or the brain?
There has been damage to the kidneys associated with the actual clearance of the drug. We're actively working on modifying the drug to take away that property. But I think this drug and any weight loss drug that gets developed has to be looked at as a way to get people back to a healthy weight and a healthy lifestyle. To think of this drug as something that will make you slim and you'll stay slim forever would be very wrong.